You know what's wild? The dudes playing against women in sports thing it's been around for a while. I mean, we've been harping about it for a few years now as we watched woman after woman get beat up, lose out on titles, things like that. But now it feels like the tide has shifted, doesn't it? At least in my circles, at least from what I can see in the media, it feels like the tide has shifted. However, there are still dudes beating up women in sports, taking their titles in sports. And there are still people who are so isolated in whatever weirdo freak bubble they're in, they're still defending the practice as if we all can't see what is happening out there. Anyway, Riley Gaines knows a touch more about this than I do because she was one of those women. Joining me now, host of the Gaines for Girls podcast on Outkick.com, which of course we love here, Riley Gaines. Riley, what happened with you and Simone Biles? When I was a kid, America's gymnasts were America's sweethearts. They were on cover of the Wheaties boxes, and now they're a bunch of tranny lovers?
That's what has been made very, very clear over this past weekend, Jesse. Man, I was so shocked. I'll walk you through how I found out about this. I was sitting at home on Friday evening. Typically, I'm on the road, so I was so excited to be home, a relaxing weekend with my husband, with my dogs, with my horse. Friday evening, I get this notification on my phone from X. It says Simone Biles tagged you and mentioned you in a comment. I was like ecstatic at the thought of this because this is a woman I've looked up to for so long. I click on the notification and I had to read it several times, go back and forth to the profile to make sure this was the real Simone Biles, who had just called me a truly sick bully and a sore loser and compared my stature to that of a man in these tweets. I was so shocked, but that's the way the cookie crumbled, I guess. Simone Biles, I think very quickly realized that we're not living in the year 2020 anymore. We are living in the year 2025. She did not receive a very welcomed reception based on these comments. And since then, she has now issued an apology. It took her several days to do such, but nonetheless, she apologized for getting personal with me. Went on to say, look, I don't want men and women's sports. And for that stance, she's now receiving a lot of pushback from both sides of the aisle, Jesse. But that's what happens when you sit on the fence.
Riley, I'm not an athlete. You are. How much pressure are athletes under today, especially female athletes, to go along with this stuff? I remember all the UPenn stuff, which was horrible. And now we have brave people like Paula Scanlon coming out and talking about it. But female athletes face a lot of pressure to just shut up and go along with it and change in front of a dude, don't you?
That's right. An immense amount of pressure, both from your, whether it's internalized pressure, number one, or from your coaching staff, from your athletic director, from the sports organization itself, from your sponsorships. I would imagine that was the large part of what Simone was dealing with. She's sponsored by very large companies, corporate companies, things like Athleta, for example. But again, the response that she received, maybe this will be a large part in turning some of that around. Athleta, there was this big boycott movement this week where people said, look, I'm not spending my money on Athleta. This is a company that sponsors someone who body shames other women. So we will see if any of that shifts public opinion here, or more so shifts what we are seeing in terms of pressure being put on these female athletes from corporations specifically. I'll be interested to see that. But it is a lot of pressure that women are under, all while the leaders at the top are just glad it's not them. They're glad that they're not the ones getting publicly humiliated or publicly receiving these negative comments, leaving two women to catfight for, I think, 60 plus million people saw her tweet. They're just thrilled it's not them in the hot seat.
I've done a lot of dumb things in my life. Thankfully, 60 million people never actually watched me do or say any of those things. Okay, are you suing the NCAA?
I am. I'm suing the NCAA, myself, and about 19 other plaintiffs, 19 other athletes who have been impacted at the hands of the NCAA and their discriminatory, regressive policies. This is, of course, following that national championships where they put a man in the pool with us and a man in our locker room, all while reprimanding us if we even dared to question it. But it's not just swimmers. We have golfers, we have tennis players, we have volleyball players on this suit as well. So very excited for to see where this goes, to see the outcome of this. Just received some good news that will hopefully be made public surrounding the lawsuit soon. But I believe these leaders need to be held accountable, as I was just alluding to. It's ultimately the leaders who are creating and enforcing these policies. Therefore, they are the ones who should be held responsible. It should be their feet that are being put to the fire. And I'm proud to be one of many who is involved in this effort.
Riley, I think we're going to look back on this time and just be mortified at what we allowed to happen. And I know right now there are a lot of parents with young ladies who are in sports and they don't know what to do because they're in these jurisdictions. Your daughter goes out there, she busts her butt, early morning practices, you're driving 8 hours at these miserable soccer tournaments, putting all this time and effort in, and then they don't know what to do when she gets into a competition like that California track meet where that dude just won a couple titles. Do you pull her out? Do you boycott the whole thing? What would you advise parents to do if it's their baby girl who put in the work and now it's being destroyed?
Yeah, that's the impossible question. What do you do, right? It's tragic that the onus is placed on these young girls, that they're left in this decision. Do I not get on the podium? Do I not compete? Do I just go along with it? It's my last meet ever. And I think back to when I was in that position. Granted, it was 3 years ago, which was a very different climate back then. But I wasn't willing to not compete. Had I known, or had I not been so naive, I'll say, to the trajectory of where we were going at the time, I wouldn't have gotten in that pool that day, because guess what? By me participating in the farce, I was just as guilty as the people, again, who were creating and enforcing these policies. It's a movement that we've dubbed Project Boycott, with emphasis on the word boy, of girls taking a stand, being willing to do the hard thing, right? But helping them understand also in the process, being able to provide the resources and guidance that some things matter more than victory. One of those things being the idea that there is reality matters, that there is an objective truth, that your safety is more important than any sort of victory. We've talked to many girls in the sport of volleyball, and there were 5 Mountain West Conference teams, NCAA Division I teams, that forfeited their game against San Jose State University last year, a team that had a man as their star player. So in that scenario, you have to worry about getting hit in the face with a volleyball coming at you 100 miles an hour. It's a situation that no girl wants to be in, but your question was specifically to the parents. Goodness gracious, parents, defend your kids. There's lots of fingers to point. You can point a finger at the NCAA. You can point a finger at the Biden administration for the regressive policies that ultimately allowed us to be where we are. But I think there's a finger that needs to be pointed back at the parents, especially actually the dads. Where in the world have you been? Defend your kids. I can't believe it even has to be said. I have parents who reach out to me all the time who say, this is happening to my daughter. We live here in this school district, but I can't say anything because I work a corporate job. Can you do something about it? And it breaks my heart when I get a message like this, because of course I will. It's what I built my platform on. It's what I care so deeply and so passionately about. I will do whatever I can. But do I have to care more about your kid than you do? So parents, defend your kids. They're in desperate, desperate need of it.
Riley, appreciate you. Come back soon. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.